Good morning, Firewood friends. This is Chris, and we are in the wood yard again today. Behind me is the pile of wood that I cut yesterday. It was free wood. It was on a property that had storm damage. It's probably about 1/4 cherry, probably a little over 1/4 of birch, 1/4 maple, and about 1/4 of pine, white pine. There was a mix of stuff that he had there. And I cut pretty much all the good stuff that he had, so I'm not going to go back today. But yeah, I got back last night. I had all the heavy stuff to the front, and the dump trailer wouldn't lift. I couldn't get it to go up, so I'd unload some of the stuff off the front. Usually if I take off a dozen or so chunks, it lifts. It does that when I overload it to the front with the heavy wet wood. And I had the dry stuff in the back that was the pine that was real light, and all the weight was up front, and it didn't want to lift it. But I got it to go, and I dumped it. So here it is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to load up my trailer, and I've got a delivery to do of oak. A guy wants a half of a full cord, and I'm going to go deliver that. And then when I get back, I'm going to start working on cleaning up my mess in the wood yard. I've got all this bark, all the wood chips, all this stuff to clean up, and then I've got wood to stack here. I've got wood to stack back there. I've got wood to stack back over here. All of this needs to be stacked, all of it. And I had a little accident I saw yesterday when I was back here. I was kind of throwing some chunks of cherry back into this pile back here where I've got my cherry. And I looked back around the corner here behind my wood, and I noticed I had a little bit of a tragedy. If you look down there, part of the pile fell over right back in there. So I got to fix that, because it's going down into a swampy area, and I don't want it sitting there on the wet ground. Yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I'm not even going to do any splitting. My splitter is not here. I just borrowed it to a friend of mine. He's got a couple trees he cut down in his yard. He wants to get split today, and he was all worried that I wouldn't let him use it. And I said, yeah, go ahead. I got plenty of other stuff to do. So today is a working in the wood yard kind of day. So I'm going to put this load of wood on and then go deliver it. It's loaded. So this is a half of a full cord, or a face cord and a half is what the guy wanted. So that's what I put on. And I stack them because, like I said before in some of my other videos, this was just thrown into these piles loosely as I was splitting. So I just threw it over here on pallets because I didn't stack it because it was already dry. And I knew I was going to sell it right away, so I didn't bother with stacking it. But then when I put it into the trailer, I have to make sure I have the right amount. So what I did is I put 3 rows in that are 2.5 feet high by 6 feet wide. So that ends up being 45 square feet. I know that cords are sold by the cubic foot, but it's square feet as you look at it. And then I throw an extra here to make up for the difference, because you need another 4 square feet to finish it off. So that's why I stack it in there. And so all I got left, I started with this pile. It was way out to here, and it was pretty high. So it's amazing how fast, if you mention to people that you've got oak, how fast it sells. So now I'm down to what's under the tarp here is maybe 2 face cords, and then that'll all be gone, which I know it'll sell fast, because I had another guy asking about it the other day. And so I got this delivery, and then I got one other delivery I have to do later today. And in the meantime, after I go deliver this, I'm going to work on cleaning up my mess here. So I've been raking all the bark and sawdust and stuff, wood chips, into a pile here, and then I'm either going to throw it right into the dump trailer once I get back, just scoop it in there, and then I'm going to go dump it. I have a place in the back over here where I can go dump it. Or I got a not high school kid, he's in 8th grade, but he looks like a high school kid. He was here the other day doing a little bit of stacking for me. I might have him just wheelbarrow it and dump it over there, because it's actually pretty fast doing it that way. So, and then after that, then I'm going to work on stacking wood, because I got lots of wood to stack, as you can see. Hundreds of cords to stack. And some of you I know don't stack the wood, but I do, because I have found that on the bottom it does not dry, especially red oak is what I got a lot of. It wicks moisture tremendously, and this area right in here is a low spot. All the water runs this direction, so all that stuff down the bottom ends up just getting waterlogged, and your bottom, foot or so, you can't even sell. I mean, it's just soaking wet. So I'm going to get this all cleaned up. I want it cleaned up anyway, because I want it to look like the rest of my wood yard, because this is another place of business. So I want it to look like this when I get done. So I'll have everything off the ground on either pallets or runners, and then have it stacked so that I know how much I have. And oh, it looks like I got a little sagage here. I didn't notice that. That's what happens when you stack wood in the wintertime. I have to push this in before, if it falls into it, it's no big deal. At least it's off the ground. But yeah, this was straight at one time. So the whole thing must have shifted. But yeah, I want it to be, off the ground like this, and then in rows, nice and neat. So I want to be able to drive her all the way around through here, and I got all this to clean up too. So this is what it's eventually going to look like. And so right here's the start of where the oak goes that way, and this right here is all basswood, so I'll sell that as campfire wood. And then once I get it all stacked, once I get a dry spell of, say, 2 weeks where there's no rain, then I'll cover everything with tarps. I usually do that sometime in May, as soon as I can, as soon as it looks like it hasn't rained in a while, and it's it's got a good amount of drying from the top and the sunshine, and I'll cover just the top with tarps on all of these. So yeah, I got lots of stacking to do. So okay, I'm gonna go deliver this load, and I'll be back and we'll do some stacking. Well, I'm back. I just dumped my first load. It was half of a full cord, so face cord and a half of oak, and my next order is for 1 face cord of mixed hardwood, which is mostly maple, and that's what I'm going to be digging out from the piles here. So I'm going to throw that in and then go deliver that one, and then I might have one more after that. I got a guy he called me and doesn't know for sure how much he wants and when and all that, so it might be today, might be tomorrow. Anyway, so we'll get this one thrown on and go deliver this one. So here we go. There, that one's loaded. I threw a bunch of extra stuff in on this load because I only had a partial row, so I wasn't sure if it was a face cord or not, so I just threw a bunch of extra chunks in here because there's a lot of odd sized pieces in here, but it's for a fire pit, so it doesn't matter. But it's probably 90% maple, a little bit of cherry. Anyway, it's in. I'm gonna go deliver it right now. I am back from my wood deliveries, and I'm gonna be doing some yard cleanup. I got lots of bark and stuff to move. It's extremely windy out. The weatherman said 30 to 40 mile an hour winds today, and he lied. He's much closer to 1,000 mile an hour winds. There's dust and dirt flying everywhere, which is good because it'll dry the ground out, and I'll be able to get into some places for some firewood that I haven't been able to get into. But man, it is windy out. It'll help the wood dry too. Hopefully this is coming through on the mic. I had to put my little fur ball on here on the mic so you could actually hear me, but that kept blowing off, so I had to put some rubber bands on it to hold it down. Anyway, I am going to start scooping up all this bark and sawdust, and I'm going to wheelbarrow it right around back the corner, right between the wood piles back there. I just dump it right back there. I'm going to get rid of all this because then I can start stacking in this area, because this is the stuff that has been sitting the longest. I want to get this done, and then I'll come over here and I'll start cleaning all this bark up right up to as close to the piles I can get. Then I can lay some pallets down and start stacking all that stuff. So that is the plan for today. So here we go. Well, that is it for today. I quit. I'm going to a party to consume massive amounts of adult beverages. I discovered something that some of you probably knew. I had 3 different types of wood, not tree species, but kinds of wood as far as how old it was when I got it. And I'm going to come over here and I'll show you. This pile that I had delivered last fall was all cut from live green trees, which was this wood right here. So this all has bark on it. So this was all live trees pretty much that I cut up right here. So when I raked up this area, you can see it's just freshly raked and cleaned up. I got maybe 3 wheelbarrows full of sawdust and a little bit of bark, hardly anything. And then over in this area that I'm working on right now was all wood that was dead wood, that the bark was partially off. So I got lots of bark in here yet. So a lot more sawdust and a lot more bark. As you can see, it's much thicker and there's bark everywhere. So probably 3-4 times as much, material to clean up after cutting and splitting. So, but this isn't terrible. This is the bad stuff. Over here, the first pile I was working on, this was the this right here was locust that I got. And when you get locust, it comes with some of the bark is off, but as you split it, all the bark comes off, which is really nice for the finished product. But look at how thick this bark is here. And there's even snow underneath there, and it's been in the 60s for a few days. So very, very difficult to dig up. This is where I wish I had a tractor to just scoop it up and haul it away. So if anybody wants to give me a tractor, I'll take one. But the other stuff is really no problem, because it was the stuff that had a little bit of bark on it. You can scoop it up pretty easily and lift it and throw it in and scoop it and haul it away. The stuff that was green that I cut, sawdust is no problem. You can rake it up, scoop it, haul it away real easily. But that's that locust with the bark that comes off in big sheets. I noticed last fall I had a load of Basswood, same thing. Bark comes off in big, huge, long sheets. I'll show you some of that. So as far as cleanup, locust and basswood, not fun, not good. The rest of it is just fine. So that'll kind of make me hesitate in the future for getting that. Although the locust is really nice once you get it processed. So here's where I've been dumping everything. I got myself a little runway here going into the low area here so you can see all the bark and stuff. So last fall, this right here is how big a sheets comes off for the basswood. Lots of big, huge sheets just kind of chunk off. But then locust, you get stuff like this coming off. A lot of big pieces like that. So kind of messy. The cherry, which is right here, this whole pile of cherry, and the pile of hickory, which is right back here, didn't have much either. You can see it's just sawdust pretty much. So not a lot of bark comes off for the cherry, and hardly any bark comes off of the hickory. So that's just a lesson for the day. If I can make it to my truck in this wind, it's unbelievable how windy it is. You look at the trees just rocking out there. It's kind of nice, keeps them nice and cool. So that is it for today. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like, subscribe buttons, poke them all. Everybody's doing it. It's the thing to do. And I will be back tomorrow, guaranteed. Same wood time, same wood channel. Goodbye.